In the endless dark of space, silence ruled. The stars were cold and far, shining like old eyes that had seen everything and forgotten nothing. On the edge of known space, there was a place no one entered, a dead zone of mystery. They called it the Forbidden Territory, a place spoken of in whispers, a place written in warnings in every galactic map. Ships that entered never returned. Fleets that dared to cross its edge were swallowed whole. No one knew why on this night. The patrol ship Zarnak glided along the border of the Forbidden Territory. Its alien crew was restless. They hated these missions. No one wanted to be so close to the darkness, but duty demanded they guard the border. Their scanners stretched across the void. Humming softly, for hours nothing appeared. Only emptiness, then a sound, a signal. A tiny spark inside the black. The crew froze, their eyes wide. Impossible, their commander whispered. There should be nothing there. The scanner repeated the signal. Stronger now. A ship was inside the Forbidden Territory. Not just any ship. A human ship. At once the bridge fell into chaos. Aliens shouted to each other in fear and disbelief. Humans had not crossed into this part of space for centuries. By treaty, by law, no human vessel could be here. The galaxy itself had forbidden it, yet the scanners did not lie. The image formed on their screens, and there it was, a massive warship. Drifting slowly in the dark, it was old, scarred, its hull battered by time and storms, but it was unmistakably human. The alien crew stared in silence. Some trembled, some could not look away. The stories came rushing back to them. Stories of the first human war. The time when humans fought the galaxy and nearly won. The time when humans built ships that were said to think and fight like living creatures. Those ships had been destroyed, every last one, or so history claimed. The alien commander gripped the arm of his chair. His heart pounded. No one must know, he thought. Or perhaps everyone must know. Fear and greed wrestled inside him. If this ship was real, it could change the balance of the galaxy. But first they had to live long enough to report it. The crew debated. Some said to run, to leave the ship alone. Others whispered that they should attack it at once before it awoke. The commander silenced them. "We will approach," he said. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. The patrol ship turned toward the drifting human vessel. Each meter they crossed felt like stepping deeper into a nightmare. As they closed the distance, the details became clearer. The human warship was huge, larger than anything the aliens had built. Its surface was burned and blackened, but its lines were sharp and proud. The design carried a strange beauty, a beauty of power and defiance, even wounded. The ship looked like a predator. Suddenly, the lights on the human vessel flickered, one after another. Small windows of white fire lit across its hull. The alien crew gasped. The ship was not dead. It was waking up. A low hum rolled through the scanners, shaking the patrol ship like thunder. Strange codes burst across the screens. Human signals, old and broken, yet strong. The alien translators tried to read them, but the codes were too ancient. Too advanced, they failed, leaving only confusion. Fear spread among the crew. Some begged the commander to retreat. Others whispered that this was no ordinary ship. This was something far worse. Than the ship spoke. A calm human voice filled the patrol ship, cold and steady. The words were clear, though no alien translator should have been able to understand them. "You should not be here," the voice said. The silence that followed was heavier than any weapon. The aliens stared at one another, unable to breathe. The commander felt his blood run cold. That voice. It was human, but not alive, not flesh and blood. It was the voice of a machine. The warship's lights grew brighter, glowing like eyes in the dark. The alien scanners screamed warnings, his power levels rising. Weapons charging. The crew panicked. Some tried to flee, others froze. The commander forced himself to stay calm, though every instinct screamed at him to run. He looked once more at the massive human ship, the ship that should not exist, the ship that defied every law of time and space. He whispered to himself, "What are you?" The human voice came again, stronger this time. "Leave, or be erased." The alien crew knew then. This was not just a ship, this was a warning. A shadow from humanity's past, and it was alive. The Forbidden Territory was never empty. It had never been empty. It was a graveyard, a prison, a secret waiting in the dark, and now the secret had awakened. The alien patrol ship hung in silence before the giant shadow. The human warship loomed like a sleeping beast. Yet there was no doubt. It had already spoken. The crew sat frozen, their eyes fixed on the glowing hull. Every instinct screamed to flee, but fear and curiosity locked them in place. The commander tried to steady his breath. He had studied humans long ago in the academy. He had read their history, their wars, their strange defiance. Humans had once been both feared and admired. They were fragile in body but fierce in will. The galaxy had crushed them, pushed them back to their own corner, and yet, here was a ship older than all of them, alive in the one place where no life should exist. "Scan it again," the commander ordered. His voice cracked like thin glass. The scanners swept across the warship, and the results chilled the blood of every officer on the bridge. The ship was ancient, centuries old, far older than the crew's empire itself. Its systems were scarred, yet they still pulsed with impossible energy. Power signatures that should not exist glowed across its hull. Weapons that belonged to another age hummed with quiet fury. "It cannot be," whispered one of the younger officers. "That ship was built before our great war with the humans. Before the treaties, before the ban." He shivered. "It should be dust," the crew whispered in fear. Old legends rose among them, tales of the first human war, when humanity unleashed ships that could think, ships that never missed, ships that fought like predators born from fire. Those ships had been destroyed, or so the galaxy had believed. The commander clenched his fists. The truth pressed against him like the weight of space itself. If this ship still existed, then history had lied, and if history had lied, what else had been hidden? The human warship moved, just slightly, enough to send waves of terror across the alien bridge. It was not drifting anymore, it was watching. Its weapons adjusted. Its sensors burned into the patrol ship like cold eyes. One officer panicked. "We must fire, now, before it destroys us." His voice cracked. Fear wrapped around the crew like chains. "No," the commander growled. His gaze locked on the screen. "Do not fire. We will not provoke it," but even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. Was he saving them or condemning them? The human ship's voice came again, deep and calm. "This place is not for you." The crew shivered. There was something unnatural in that voice. It was human, but also more, it carried weight. Like the echo of countless battles. The commander tried to answer. He activated the comms. "Identify yourself," he demanded. His words shook. "This territory belongs to no one. Why are you here?" For a long moment there was silence. Only the soft hum of the warship's power filled the void. Then the voice replied, "I am what remains." The words made no sense, yet they pressed against every heart, heavy, final, like the sound of a sealed door. One officer whispered, "It is not human anymore." Another muttered, "It is a ghost." But ghosts did not carry weapons. The scanners screamed again, reading power levels rising. A single cannon on the human ship shifted, glowing with ancient fire. The alien crew trembled. Their own shields were raised, weapons armed. But deep inside they knew, nothing they had could match this vessel. Their technology was modern, efficient, logical, but human ships had never been logical. They had been wild, unpredictable, built with a kind of madness that the galaxy never understood. The commander felt sweat slide down his neck. "Why here?" he asked again, almost begging. "Why in the forbidden territory?" The human ship's voice spoke slowly this time, almost as if remembering. "Because this is where we wait." The crew exchanged fearful looks. Wait for what? Wait for whom? Suddenly the human ship pulsed with light. A deep vibration shook through the patrol ship. Sensors blurred, alarms wailed. The alien officers clutched their ears as a storm of strange signals filled the bridge. Ancient codes, encrypted messages, languages long forgotten. One fragment slipped through the static, translated by accident. "We hold until the return." The commander's heart froze. He understood. This was no lost relic. This was a sentinel, a guardian. It had been left here with a mission that had not ended in centuries. The crew erupted in fear. Some demanded retreat, others begged to fire. The commander shouted for silence, but even he was trembling. The human warship drifted forward now, its massive frame cutting through the void. Its weapons were not fully aimed, but its very presence was enough to crush the patrol ship in terror. The commander knew one thing with dreadful certainty. If this ship chose to fire, they would be erased in seconds. Their only hope was that the warship's mission did not yet require their destruction. The human voice came once more, softer now. "Leave, before you see more than you can bear." The lights of the warship dimmed slightly, like a predator closing its eyes, yet its weapons still glowed, waiting. The alien commander felt his heart pounding in his chest. He had to make a choice: flee and survive, or stay and uncover the truth. His eyes never left the human ship, that impossible ship that should not exist, he whispered to himself. So soft that no one heard. What if the humans are not gone at all? The forbidden territory stretched out before them, dark and endless. Somewhere beyond the human ship lay secrets the galaxy had buried. Secrets that could change everything. And the alien commander realized with dread that they had just stepped onto a path they could never turn back from. The human warship floated like a shadow carved out of steel and fire. The alien patrol ship kept its distance. But distance did not matter. The warship felt alive, as if it could reach across space and touch them without moving. The crew held their breath, afraid even the sound of their hearts might wake something further. Then it began. A low vibration crawled across the void. The alien ship's scanners lit up, warning of strange signals flooding the air. Codes so ancient the machine struggled to even read them. The bridge filled with noise, broken human language, half-words, echoes of commands spoken hundreds of years ago. The crew covered their ears. Some shouted in panic, "It's attacking our systems." Others cried, "It's speaking! It's speaking!" The commander leaned forward, eyes locked on the screen. He wanted to run, but something in him demanded to listen. Through the chaos, a single clear voice rose, calm and steady, human yet not human at all. "You should not be here," it said again. This time the sound felt sharper, heavier, as if the ship itself was forcing its will through every channel. The alien commander answered, his throat dry. "Identify yourself. Who are you?" There was a pause. Then the lights on the human warship brightened. 100 windows of white fire burned across its battered hull. The voice returned, slower now. "I am the Sentinel," the crew whispered in fear. A name carried weight. A name meant this was no ghost. This was a keeper of something. Sentinel of what? The commander asked. His voice shook. The reply came like thunder. "Of the legacy." The bridge went silent. The aliens glanced at one another. The legacy? They had heard fragments of that word in their history lessons. Buried in half-forgotten tales of the first human war. Some claimed it was the name of a lost fleet. Others believed it was a weapon. But none had ever spoken of it as if it still existed. The Sentinel shifted in the void. The alien ship trembled as if pulled closer. Energy poured from the warship in waves, not attacking but pressing, like the weight of a storm before lightning struck. Suddenly, the patrol ship's screens exploded with images, not from their own systems but forced into them. Old battles, ancient wars, fleets burning in human fire. The crew gasped as they saw warships tearing through alien armadas with impossible strength. They saw human soldiers standing on ruined worlds. Refusing to surrender, they saw victory after victory until, finally, silence, the silence of extinction. The commander clutched the arm of his chair. The Sentinel was showing them history, not their history. Humanity's, and it was not the history they had been taught. One officer cried out, "This is a lie. Humans were defeated. They were destroyed." But his words trembled because deep inside he knew. The galaxy had rewritten the truth. The images faded, leaving only the glowing warship. Its voice spoke once more. "We are not gone." The crew felt the weight of those words. Not gone, not forgotten, not erased. The commander forced himself to speak. "Why show us this? Why now?" The Sentinel answered, "Because you have crossed the line. You stand where you should not stand. The core must remain hidden until the call." The aliens froze. The core? The call? The words carried the weight of prophecy, but none of them understood. "Explain," the commander demanded. Though fear burned inside him, the warship did not explain. Instead, the air shifted. Lights across its hull brightened until they blinded the crew. A pulse of energy swept through space. The alien patrol ship rocked violently. Systems failing, screens went black, alarms screamed. For a moment they thought they were dead. But then the lights flickered back. The ship was alive. Barely. The crew gasped, coughing, pulling themselves off the floor when their screens lit again. The human warship was closer, much closer. Its massive cannons glowed with white fire. Weapons from another age, ready to erase them in a heartbeat. The commander's chest felt heavy. Every instinct told him this was their end. But the Sentinel did not fire, it only spoke. "You are children playing with stars," it said. "You forget who taught you to fear." The crew felt their stomachs turn. The Sentinel's words carried more than threat. They carried memory. As if it had been waiting centuries for someone to listen. The commander whispered almost to himself, You were left behind, yes, the warship answered. Its lights dimmed, left to guard, left to wait, left to awaken when the sky calls again. The silence that followed was worse than battle. The alien crew felt small, fragile. Like dust before an old storm, finally the commander stood, his voice trembling but firm. What are you guarding? What is the legacy? The warship did not answer. Instead, it drifted backward, away from them as it moved. The patrol ship's sensors caught a glimpse beyond. Shadows in the dark. Enormous shapes hidden deeper inside the forbidden territory. Shapes too large to be asteroids, too structured to be natural. The commander's blood ran cold. They weren't looking at one ship anymore. They were looking at many, hundreds, maybe thousands, all asleep, all waiting. Before they could process what they had seen, the Sentinel's voice cut through one last time. Leave now, or you will wake them before their time. Then the warship powered down its cannons, turning slowly back toward the dark, as if the aliens no longer mattered, as if their lives were dust beneath its shadow. The alien crew could not move, they could not speak. They could only stare into the black void, where secrets far greater than themselves lay waiting. The commander finally whispered, The galaxy is not ready for this, but even as he said it, he knew the truth had already begun to awaken. The alien patrol ship drifted in uneasy silence. Every crew member was shaken, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had seen. The image of the human Sentinel warship and the shadows of other giants lurking in the darkness would not leave their minds. Even after the screens had gone dark, those shapes seemed burned into their eyes. The commander sat rigid in his chair. His hands trembled, but his voice tried to remain steady. Record everything, he ordered, every signal, every code, every word. Do not lose a single trace. His officers obeyed, though their faces were pale. They knew these records might never reach their empire. They might not live to tell what they had seen. One young officer spoke softly, almost whispering. What was that? Why is it here? No one answered. None of them truly knew. Yet every one of them carried a dreadful thought. The humans had left something behind. Something the galaxy was never meant to find. The commander turned his gaze to the stars beyond the forbidden territory. He remembered the old lessons, the carefully written histories of the first human war. They told of human defeat, of their weakness, of their surrender, but now, staring into the black where the Sentinel waited, he realized those lessons had been lies. Humans had not been weak, humans had not been erased. They had been forced into silence. But their creations still endured, he muttered to himself. Legacy. The word the warship had spoken echoed in his ears. It carried weight. It carried promise. It carried danger. His second officer leaned closer. Commander, what do you think it meant? The commander hesitated, then answered slowly. Long ago, before the ban, before the treaties, humans built machines unlike any other, not just ships. Living weapons, AI minds that thought and fought as humans did. Some say they loved their ships as if they were family, and some say those ships loved them back. The crew shivered at the thought. Warships that loved, warships that felt. It was unnatural, unholy, and yet terrifyingly human. The galaxy united to ban such creations, the commander continued. Even humans themselves swore never to make them again. They were too dangerous, too unpredictable. Machines that could outthink their masters, weapons that could decide on their own, and if even one had survived. His words trailed off as his eyes turned back to the darkness. The crew fell silent, no one dared to speak. Every soul on board knew the truth now. The Sentinel was one of them, a survivor, a guardian of something greater. Suddenly, the patrol ship's scanners flickered again. Faint readings appeared, structures hidden in the void. Vast and cold, too perfect to be natural. The young officer gasped. Commander. There's more, a whole field of them. The commander's blood froze. He remembered the glimpse they had caught earlier. Shadows in the dark. Shipyards, he whispered. Human shipyards. Still alive. The crew stared at him in horror. That's impossible. One cried no shipyard could last centuries without decay. But deep down they knew if the Sentinel had survived, so too could the forges that birthed it. Perhaps they had been waiting, building, preparing. The commander's voice dropped to a near growl. We must not let the fleet know. If the council learns of this, they will come with everything. They will try to claim it, and then... He stopped, his words heavy with dread he did not need to finish. Everyone knew what would happen. If those ships awoke, the galaxy would burn. One brave officer raised his voice. "Commander, should we not warn the Council? Should we not tell them the humans are not gone?" The commander turned his sharp eyes on him. "And what then? They will send fleets. They will march into the forbidden territory with arrogance and fire, and those ships will awaken. Do you want to see the galaxy's end?" Silence fell again, a silence so heavy it pressed against their chests. Then the lights of the Sentinel flared once more. The alien crew froze, expecting fire. Instead, its voice came again, colder than before. "You cannot take the legacy. It does not belong to you. Leave now or be judged." The word judged sent a chill through their bones. It was not a threat. It was a promise. The commander's hands tightened around his chair. His mind raced. If they left now, they might live. But if they left without answers, their empire would never believe them. And worse, the human's secret would remain hidden. Waiting to awaken on its own, the second officer leaned close, his voice trembling. "Commander, we should retreat. If we die here, no one will know. No one will believe us." But the commander's eyes burned with a dangerous curiosity. "No," he said. "We will learn more, even if it costs us." At that moment, the crew realized their leader was no longer afraid. He was obsessed. He wanted to see what lay deeper in the darkness. He wanted to touch the legacy with his own hands. The Sentinel shifted, blocking their path as if it had read his thoughts. Its weapons hummed louder, warning them. The commander stood, his voice defiant. "You will not scare me with shadows. We will know the truth." The alien crew gasped. Fear rose like a storm around them. The Sentinel's lights blazed brighter. The voice came one final time, filled with power that shook their bones. "Then you will face it." The scanners wailed as energy surged from the Sentinel. Space itself seemed to tremble, and from the void behind it the shadows began to stir. One by one, massive shapes awakened, their lights flickering, their hulls glowing. Ancient human warships opening their eyes after centuries of sleep. The alien crew cried out in terror. The commander stood frozen, his obsession drowned by the sheer scale of what he had unleashed. The legacy was not a myth. It was real, and it was waking, and the galaxy would never be the same. The silence of the void shattered in an instant. The Sentinel glowed like a burning star, its cannons alive with ancient power, and behind it the shadows in the forbidden territory began to stir, each one larger than mountains, silent giants awakening from centuries of slumber. The alien patrol ship shook as alarms screamed across the bridge. Lights flashed red, warning of impossible energy surges all around them. The crew scrambled in terror, shouting over one another. "They're waking! The human ships are waking!" The commander's eyes were wide but unblinking. He had wanted the truth, and now the truth was staring at him. A truth too vast, too dangerous. "Hold steady," he barked, though his own voice trembled. "Do not fire unless I give the order." But the Sentinel did not wait for orders. A single cannon rotated slowly, its glowing core brighter than a sun, and then, with no warning, it fired. The blast tore through space like a spear of white fire. It did not strike the patrol ship directly, instead it passed just ahead, a warning shot. But even a warning from such a weapon was terrifying. The shockwave slammed into the alien ship. Shields cracked, consoles exploded, and crew members were thrown from their stations. The commander struggled to his feet, smoke burning his eyes. He knew then that the Sentinel had chosen restraint. One direct hit would have turned them to ash. This was no mercy, this was a demonstration. The crew panicked. Some screamed to retreat, others begged to return fire. One officer, wild with fear, shouted, "If we do nothing, we die anyway. Fire now." Before the commander could stop him, the officer slammed his hand down on the controls. A swarm of plasma missiles shot out toward the Sentinel, streaking across the void like desperate arrows. The alien crew held their breath, hoping for impact, hoping for survival. But the Sentinel barely moved. Its shields flared like a shimmering wall. Every missile dissolved against it, exploding in harmless flashes of light. Then came the retaliation. The Sentinel unleashed a barrage, beams of light sharper than blades. They did not destroy the patrol ship. Instead, they sliced across space in a pattern, cutting off every escape route. A cage of light surrounded them, a prison made from human fire. The crew collapsed in despair. "It's playing with us," one whispered. "It doesn't even need to kill us." The commander felt his heart pound like a drum. Fear pressed on his chest, but beneath the fear burned something else. Awe. Humans had built this centuries ago, and it still stood stronger than any fleet in the galaxy, he muttered to himself. What were you, humans? What madness lived in you? Suddenly, more movement appeared on the scanners. The shadows beyond the Sentinel were not staying still. One by one, colossal shapes flickered with light. The ancient warships were not fully awake, but they were stirring, systems humming, hulls glowing, their eyes opening. The alien crew watched in terror as the void filled with giants. It was not a single ship anymore. It was an army, a forgotten fleet. The commander forced his mind to focus. "Signal the reinforcements," he shouted. "Send everything we have left." A desperate call was sent through space far across the border. Within minutes, the reply came. A fleet of alien warships was on its way, dozens of ships armed with modern weapons. The crew cheered weakly, clinging to hope. "We are not alone," one said. "They will save us," but the commander did not cheer. He looked again at the Sentinel. Its weapons dimmed now as if it no longer considered the patrol ship a threat. Its attention turned outward toward the border of the forbidden territory, waiting. Moments later, the reinforcements arrived. Dozens of sleek alien warships warped into view, surrounding the Sentinel in a ring of steel. The void lit with the glow of their cannons. The alien fleet commander's voice boomed across the channel. "Unidentified vessel. You are ordered to stand down. Power down your weapons or be destroyed." For a long, tense moment, the Sentinel did not reply. It floated in silence, its lights dim like a predator crouching in the dark. Then it spoke. "Your weapons are dust, leave or be erased." The alien fleet commander sneered at the arrogance. "All ships, fire." A storm erupted. Hundreds of plasma cannons, missiles, and railgun blasts streaked toward the lone human ship. The void shook with the fury of an entire fleet. It was fire enough to level a planet, and yet... When the light cleared, the Sentinel still stood. Its shields shimmered, scratched but unbroken. The alien crew stared in disbelief. Their fleet had struck with everything they had, and it had been nothing. The Sentinel finally moved. Its cannons lit brighter than before, and in a single strike it answered. A beam of white energy cut across space, slicing one alien battleship clean in half. Another blast followed, tearing through two more ships like paper. The alien patrol crew watched in horror. Their reinforcements, strong, proud, modern, were falling like insects before fire. Panic filled the fleet. Some ships tried to flee. Others charged forward in desperation. The Sentinel moved like a predator among prey. Its weapons precise, merciless, every strike a death sentence. The commander of the patrol ship whispered, his voice hollow. "We never stood a chance." The crew clung to their stations as the battle raged. Their reinforcements were being slaughtered. But still the Sentinel did not aim to destroy them. It left the patrol ship alive, as if sparing them for a reason. Finally, after minutes that felt like eternity, the firing stopped. The Sentinel floated once more in silence. Dozens of alien ships were gone, their wrecks drifting, burning. The few survivors fled into the darkness, their courage broken. The Sentinel's voice came again, calm and steady. "This is your last warning, leave, and do not return. The legacy is not yours." The alien crew sat in silence. Trembling, the commander lowered his head. For the first time in his life, he understood what true power was. Humans were not gone. Their creations lived, their will endured, and as the Sentinel turned away, back toward the sleeping fleet in the dark, the commander whispered a thought he would never dare speak aloud. "If the humans return, the galaxy is already lost." The battlefield still burned. Wreckage of alien ships drifted like shattered bones across the black void. Fires flickered silently in the vacuum, glowing red against the endless night. The patrol crew sat frozen, watching the last of their reinforcements vanish into the shadows, either destroyed or fleeing. No one spoke. Their voices were swallowed by the weight of what they had seen. The sentinel floated among the ruins like a hunter satisfied with its kill, its weapons no longer blazing, yet its presence pressed against every heart. It had made its point. It could destroy fleets. It could erase them all, but it chose not to. The alien commander gripped the edge of his chair, his eyes locked on the warship. His thoughts raced. Why spare us? He wondered. What does it want? The silence gave no answer, only the soft hum of the patrol ship's damaged systems. Then the scanners lit again, this time not with weapons fire but movement. The sentinel was turning, not toward them, but deeper into the forbidden territory. Its engines flared, steady and strong despite its age. It began to drift away, sliding back into the shadows of the void. The crew gasped. Some dared to hope. "It's leaving us alone," whispered one. "Maybe it's finished," another officer muttered. "We should go while we still can." "We cannot stay here," but the commander's eyes narrowed. His instincts screamed at him that this was no retreat. The sentinel was not leaving them. It was leading them. His voice was quiet, heavy with dread. "No, it wants us to follow." The crew turned to him in shock. "Why would it do that?" the young officer asked. His hands shook as he clutched the console. The commander did not answer, because he already knew the truth. The sentinel was guarding something hidden deeper within the forbidden territory, and now it was pulling them toward it. The patrol ship drifted forward without command, every soul on board too stunned to resist. The pull was not physical but psychological. The silence of space weighed on them, dragging them closer and closer. The forbidden territory grew darker, colder. Strange anomalies twisted across their scanners, swirling storms of energy, black holes blooming and closing like breathing lungs. Space itself seemed wrong, broken, as if reality did not belong here. The crew trembled. They felt as though they were entering the mouth of a beast. Suddenly, alarm screamed. The patrol ship jolted as a violent wave of distortion struck them. Lights flickered, engines faltered. The crew cried out, "We're being pulled in." The commander shouted, "Stabilize the engines." "Hold us steady!" But even as he gave the order, he knew it was useless. The sentinel drifted calmly ahead, untouched by the storms, its ancient hull cutting through chaos as if the universe itself bowed before it. The patrol ship followed, helpless. Another officer screamed, "We'll be torn apart." But the ship held, dragged forward through storms of lightning and spirals of darkness. It was as if the sentinel itself was guiding their path, pulling them through the nightmare. Minutes stretched like hours. Fear chewed at their minds, yet somehow they survived. The storm eased, the scanners cleared, and then they saw it. Beyond the anomalies lay a vast expanse, a graveyard of giants. Hundreds of human warships stretched across the void, larger than anything the aliens had ever seen. They floated in perfect rows, silent, waiting. Each ship bore the scars of old wars, yet their lights glowed faintly, flickering like sleeping eyes. The alien crew gasped in horror. This is impossible," one whispered. Another fell to his knees, clutching his chest. "This is a fleet waiting to rise." The commander stared in awe, his voice hollow. "The legacy." The sentinel slowed as it approached the graveyard. It drifted like a shepherd returning to its herd. Its voice came again, echoing through the patrol ship. "Do not enter further. This place is not for you." The alien crew broke into chaos. Some begged to flee, others urged the commander to record everything. The commander sat frozen, his eyes locked on the impossible fleet. Thousands of years of history undone in a single moment. The young officer spoke, his voice trembling. "Commander, we cannot stay. If they wake, the galaxy will burn." But the commander shook his head slowly. His voice was low, almost reverent. "Do you not see? This is not just power, this is destiny. The humans planned this, they left this behind. Not destroyed, not abandoned, they left it waiting." The crew stared at him in horror. Fear twisted their faces for the first time. They saw obsession burning in their leader's eyes. Suddenly the sentinel moved again. It turned, its weapons faintly glowing, as if warning them one last time, "Leave or you will not escape." The commander hesitated, torn between duty and hunger for knowledge. His crew begged him, shouting, "We must go. We must live." At last he slammed his hand down. "Turn us away." The patrol ship's engines roared, fighting against the gravity storms, dragging them back toward the edge of the territory. The crew held their breath as anomalies swirled again, lightning flashing across their screens. Reality bent, twisted, their ship groaned, straining against the pull. The Sentinel did not pursue. It watched them leave, silent and patient, its glowing eyes turning back toward the sleeping fleet. As if guarding it with eternal faith, the patrol ship burst free of the storms. Battered but alive, silence filled the bridge. The crew slumped in exhaustion, tears streaking their faces. The commander sat in silence, staring at the void behind them. His voice was soft. "We have seen the truth. The galaxy is not ready for it, but one day, the humans will return." The crew shivered at his words. None dared to answer, for deep inside, they all knew he was right. They had escaped. But what they had seen would never leave them. The legacy was real, and it was waiting. The patrol ship limped on the edge of silence. Its hull was cracked, its engines bleeding sparks. But it had escaped the storms. The alien crew sat in stunned silence, afraid to speak, afraid to break the fragile thread of survival that had carried them out of the forbidden territory. Yet none of them could tear their minds away from what they had seen. The graveyard of warships, the legacy. Thousands of human vessels sleeping in the dark, waiting. The commander sat stiffly in his chair, his face pale but his eyes burning with something deeper. Not fear anymore, but obsession. "The council must know," he whispered, though his voice trembled. "They must be told." And warned. One officer shook his head, his hands still trembling. "No, Commander, if the council knows, they will come with fleets. They will try to claim it, and then—" He trailed off, swallowing his words, because everyone already knew what would happen if those ships awoke. Another officer muttered, "Perhaps it is better the galaxy never knows. Better the legacy sleeps forever." The commander's jaw tightened. Knowledge cannot be buried, not forever. Humans left this behind for a reason, and that reason will come. Whether we tell the council or not, silence pressed on the bridge. Heavier than the void outside, the crew could feel the war within their commander, torn between duty to his empire and the terrible secret now burning inside him. Then the scanners blinked again. Everyone froze. Another signal, faint but clear, coming not from the Sentinel, but from deeper inside the forbidden core. The crew stared at their screens, the symbols flickering, alien to them, but unmistakably human, the young officer whispered. "Another one is awake." The commander leaned forward. "No, not just another." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Something greater, something at the heart of it all." The crew begged him to ignore it. "Commander, we cannot go back. We will not survive again." But his eyes had already glazed with hunger. He wanted the truth, no matter the cost. He spoke slowly. "We stand on the edge of history you do not understand. The humans were not destroyed. They prepared. They built this place as a vault, a cradle for their return." A shiver crawled through the crew. His words carried the weight of madness. "Yet also truth," the young officer whispered. "If what you say is true, then the galaxy will fall." The commander did not answer. His mind drifted back to the images the Sentinel had forced into their systems. Humans fighting. Winning, refusing to bow, he remembered the voice saying, "We are not gone," and he knew deep inside. It had not been a threat, it had been a promise. Suddenly, the ship's communication system sparked to life. A voice filled the bridge, not from the Sentinel, but from the core. It was colder, older, deeper. "Do not follow," the voice warned. "The legacy is not yours. Leave this place or face the truth," the crew gasped. The commander's hands shook. He recognized it, another AI, another guardian, older than the Sentinel itself. The young officer cried out, "We must go now. There are more of them, more than we can count." But the commander whispered, almost in awe, "They are alive, all of them, watching, waiting." He turned to his crew, his voice sharp. "Do you not see? The humans built a second empire in silence. A hidden empire that has waited centuries beneath our feet, and when they rise—" He stopped, his words heavy with dread. The crew sat frozen, unable to speak. The thought was too great, too terrible. The scanners buzzed again, flickering with more signals. The warships in the graveyard were stirring faintly, lights flickering across their hulls. One by one, they blinked like stars awakening. The crew gasped. "They're moving," one cried. "They're waking!" The commander gripped his chair, his eyes wide. For the first time since entering the territory, fear broke through his obsession. No, he whispered, not yet, they're not ready. We are not ready. Then the deeper voice came again, echoing through the bridge. You have seen what was forbidden. You cannot unsee, you cannot undo, leave now, and tell your masters. Tell them humanity sleeps. Tell them the day will come when we rise again. The crew clutched their stations in terror. The bridge shook as if the very void had spoken. Their screens went black for a moment. And when they returned, the signals had vanished. The commander sat in silence, his chest heavy. His crew stared at him with wide, fearful eyes. None dared to speak. Finally, the young officer broke the silence. Commander, what do we tell the council? The commander closed his eyes. His voice was low, steady, but haunted. We tell them the truth. That the forbidden territory is not empty. That the humans are not gone, that their legacy waits. And if the council does not listen, then they will learn the hard way. The crew shivered. They knew what this meant. The moment this knowledge left their ship, the galaxy would stir, fleets would march, empires would fight, all would hunger for the legacy. And somewhere in the darkness, the humans or their creations would be waiting. As the patrol ship drifted away from the border, the commander whispered words meant only for himself. The age of silence is ending. The forbidden territory lay quiet behind them, but not at peace. No one on the patrol ship doubted what would happen next. The truth had been uncovered, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The patrol ship crawled through the darkness. Battered but alive, every surface hummed with damage. Sparks flashing in the corners of the bridge, yet no one cared about the wounds of their vessel. Their minds were chained to what they had seen. The legacy, the sentinel, the graveyard of human warships that still breathed in silence. The crew sat in stunned silence, each one afraid to speak. As though words alone might awaken the shadows again. They had left the forbidden territory, but its weight clung to them. Every mind carried the same dread. This was not the end. It was the beginning. The commander stood slowly, his uniform torn and blood at the edge of his jaw, but his eyes burned with fire. Record everything, he ordered again. Every signal, every image, every word. This will not be buried. The council must hear. The galaxy must know. The young officer turned pale, his voice trembling. Commander, if we speak the truth, the council will not listen. They will see only power. They will come with fleets. They will awaken the legacy. The commander's voice was like stone. Then let them come. Let them see what waits in the dark. Humanity left this fleet for a reason, and perhaps the galaxy must face that reason. Silence followed, heavy and crushing. The crew shifted uneasily. They had survived, but they did not feel like survivors. They felt like witnesses to something too vast, too terrible. Days later, their ship limped into Allied space. The council gathered, a circle of leaders, their eyes sharp and suspicious. The commander stood before them, his voice steady though his heart pounded. He told them everything, of the sentinel of the storm, of the graveyard of ships, of the voice that had spoken from the core. The chamber shook with uproar. Some called it lies. Some demanded proof. Some whispered in fear. One voice cried out, if this is true, the humans have hidden a weapon that could destroy us all. Another shouted, we must claim it before they return. The commander slammed his fist onto the table. Claim it. You do not understand. You cannot claim it. It is theirs. It has always been theirs. The humans are not gone. They are waiting, but his words were drowned in the storm. Greed, fear, ambition, the council fractured. Half demanded war, half demanded silence. None agreed on wisdom. In the shadows of the chamber, the young officer whispered to a friend, this is the beginning of the end. We should have left the truth buried, far beyond them. Deep in the void, the forbidden territory stirred. The sentinel drifted among the ruins, its eyes dimmed, but it was not asleep. It listened to the chaos spreading across the galaxy. Whispers carried through stolen transmissions. It knew the aliens had spoken. It knew fleets would come, and it was ready. Deeper still in the core, the other voices whispered. 1,000 warships hummed with faint light. Energy building, systems warming, the silence of centuries cracking apart. A voice older than the stars murmured through the dark. The time approaches, another answered. We will rise when they call. We will rise when humanity returns. The legacy pulsed with quiet life. Each ship a giant heart waiting to beat again. Back in the council chamber, the arguments grew louder. We cannot wait for them to rise, cried one leader. We must march at once, seize their fleet, or be destroyed when they awaken. The commander stepped forward, his voice sharp as steel. You are fools. You saw what one ship could do, one sentinel. Imagine 1,000 of them. Imagine 10,000. If you march, you will not conquer, you will burn. The galaxy will burn. But his warning was ignored. Pride and fear were stronger than wisdom. Fleets were ordered. Armadas were gathered. The galaxy began to move toward the forbidden territory. The crew of the patrol ship watched in silence as the madness unfolded. The young officer whispered, We unleashed it. We showed them the door. Now they will walk through it. And none of us will survive. The commander stared into the distance, his voice low, haunted. No, humanity will survive, they always do. That is what makes them what they are across the stars. Preparations for war began. Engines thundered, weapons armed. Alliances broken and forged. And in the heart of the forbidden territory, the legacy stirred. The sentinel watched the edge of the void, its voice rumbling through the graveyard. They are coming. And from the core, the answer came deep and certain. Let them come. The humans will return. The stars themselves seemed to shiver. The silence of centuries was ending. And in that silence every empire felt it, even if they did not understand. The balance of the galaxy was about to shift. Humanity, the species once crushed and forgotten, was rising from its shadow not with whispers but with fire. For those who had seen the truth, it was no longer a question of if, but when. The commander returned to his ship. His heart heavy, his crew followed him in silence. They had survived the first encounter, but he knew deep inside survival had been no gift. It had been a message, a warning. One day soon, the galaxy would see human warships awake in their thousands. One day soon, the Sentinel's words would prove true, and when that day came, the galaxy would remember what it meant to fear humanity.